Hello, colleagues. My name is Jamie Junker. I'm the MTSS facilitator at Harry Street.
And I'm Connie Malacote, the Elementary Mathematics Curriculum and Instructional Specialist. It is our pleasure to spend the next hour and a half with you learning about our revised Kansas College and Career Ready Standards for elementary mathematics, as well as other new resources that are available to you at KSDE. Let's get started. Anytime you see this pause symbol on the screen, please feel free to pause this presentation to read, process, or ask questions of the presenter in the room. Please suspend the presentation at this time and champ this upcoming session according to your audience and needs. We have 4 learning targets today. We will all take an active role and navigate KSDE. The main resource we will read and discuss will be the 2017 Math Standards document. We'll also compare the KCCRS standards we have been using the last 7 years to the revised ones and note the changes that will impact planning and instruction. And finally, we will locate other important math materials and support documents that can be accessed at KSDE. At this time, please find a partner at your table and designate who will be Partner A and who will be Partner B. Thank you for establishing partnerships. We will have you take an active role today in a couple of ways. In a minute, we will have you follow along electronically on your laptop as we progress through the PowerPoint. We will be giving you oral directions supplemented with visuals on the screen. If you get lost or lag behind, glance up at the presentation screen. There will likely be a visual cue to help you get back on track. The first thing you will need to do is log into the Kansas Department of Education, or KSDE website. The web address is located in the green bar at the top of the PowerPoint. Once you are at KSDE, your screen will look like this. Please pause right now until all participants are at KSDE. There are multiple ways to access the standards on KSDE. One way is by choosing Teaching and Learning in the gray bar. We are going to show you another way to retrieve some of the math resources. To access the math standards, choose the letter M. Now choose Mathematics. In the blue bar, hover over Kansas Math Standards. In this drop-down bar, choose the current Kansas Math Standards. Scroll down. You'll see a list of blue hyperlinks. Click on the first one titled 2017 Kansas Mathematics Standards. Depending on what Microsoft Office version you have on your laptop will determine if you need to enable the document or not. If you have 2010 on your laptop, open the Word document and choose Enable Editing near the top of the screen. You will not need to do this step if you are operating a machine that has Microsoft Office 2017. Save the standards document to your desktop. You'll be using this resource quite a bit in this session, as well as multiple times in the years to come. Also keep the KSDE link open and minimize it. We will access it again later in this PD session. Go ahead and pause for 2 minutes to save the document and minimize the website. Now we are ready to see how this document is organized and all it has to offer. As you can see, the table of contents have been created to have easy access to multiple topics or grades quickly. We'll take this opportunity to practice how to go directly to the pages you wish to read. Some of you will need to hold down the Control key and place the cursor over the word Introduction. Notice you'll see it change to the hand cursor. Now you can select the word Introduction.
As we journey through this resource, the page number that is being referenced will be located in the upper left-hand corner. Again, use the visuals on the screen to help you follow along. Everyone will read the introduction and jot down critical content from both paragraphs on the backside of one of the documents you have in front of you or on a Post-it note. At this time, pause the PowerPoint to allow your group 4 to 5 minutes to read and identify the critical content. Let's further process what we just read. Partner A will share 1 or 2 pieces of critical content from the first paragraph. Then Partner B will do the same with the second paragraph. At this time, pause the PowerPoint to allow your group time to share for 1 minute. Did you know that the state of Kansas reviews our educational standards at least once every 7 years? The Kansas Mathematics Standards Writing and Review Committee met regularly both in person and virtually between March 2016 and May 2017 to review, write, and edit the standards document. If you look closely at your screen, you may recognize a few names from page 5. Wichita was well represented in the process. In addition to the official committee members, each standards committee had an interested party ad hoc group, which was comprised of educational organizations, business and community members, legislators, KSDE staff, and/or parents. These individuals were interested in the standards review process, and their role was to participate in the discussions and provide feedback. The official committee members then presented to the State Board of Education in August 2017 to ask for the adoption of the 2017 standards. Both the Rose Capacities and the Kansas Social, Emotional, and Character Development Model Standards, or SECD for short, are both an interplay of cognitive and non-cognitive skills. Through careful teacher planning and implementation in the classroom, these non-cognitive skills are supported and developed in the manner in which students interact with the standards for mathematical practices and modeling standards. To help us better understand what role the social, emotional, and character development standards play in mathematics, we will read these standards at the bottom of page 6. After the presenter pauses the presentation, take 1 minute to silently read the bulleted list of SECD standards on your computer. Then, we will make connections to the Standards of Mathematical Practice, or SMPs. You should have a hard copy of the SMPs in front of you. First, Partner A will make a connection from the bulleted standards to either SMP 1 or 5. Then, Partner B will make a connection to SMP 3 or 6. Please pause now. We'll get back together in 4 minutes. The learning progressions describe a progression of a math topic across grade levels. These narrative documents, which are informed by research on children's cognitive development and by the logical structure of mathematics, justify the sequence of the standards, point out the cognitive difficulties and solutions, and provide clarity to particularly complex areas of mathematics. During our Purposeful Unit Planning, or PUP process, we read the progressions before delving into a module to help us effectively plan for the students we serve. Notice toward the bottom of this page, there is a note reminding us to check the website for the most current edition of the progressions. The hyperlink for the progressions is at the very bottom of this page. At this time, please take 2 minutes and click this link so you can familiarize yourself with the electronic copies of this critical resource. Please pause now. Here's a tip. Many people prefer to read a hard copy of these narratives because they are content-rich and often require multiple reads to fully comprehend the mathematics. If you haven't already, go back to the standards document. Let's move on to page 8 and learn about some really important teacher actions. Principles to action. a National Council of Teachers of Mathematics resource, summarizes many best practices in math. The 8 mathematics teaching practices should be the foundation for math instruction and learning. This framework was informed by over 20 years of research. If teachers understand the learning progressions and are guided by this framework, they can support one another and move toward improved instructional practices, which will ultimately impact our students. Notice the black subtitle in parentheses, High Leverage Teacher Actions. This past year, KSDE focused professional development on number 6, building procedural fluency from conceptual understanding. Next year, their goal is to focus on number 2, implement tasks that promote reasoning and problem solving, and number 4, facilitate meaningful mathematical discourse. Let's take a moment and process these high-leverage teacher actions and make some of our own connections. Read the 8 blue subtitles silently. With your partner, make a connection to either Engage New York or one of the standards for mathematical practice. Feel free to pause, read, and process for about 3 to 4 minutes. Now it is time to talk about our first priority, the students. Pages 9, 10, and 11 provide definitions and examples of the standards for mathematical practice. Notice the subtitle in parentheses, High Leverage Student Actions. The goal for educators is for the students to express themselves mathematically through these standards. The SMPs should be evident on a frequent basis in all grade levels and should be considered when lesson planning. When lesson planning, a great question to ask yourself or a teammate is, which math practice or practices will be our focus when our students express themselves mathematically in this particular lesson? Or, how will my students demonstrate to me and the others in the class that they fully understand math practice 1, 4, or 7? If you scroll down to page 12 and 13, you'll see another great way to view and plan with the standards for mathematical practice. If you need miniature posters of the math practices to hang in your classroom, you can locate them on OnBase or reach out to your building coach. Go ahead and move on to page 15.
Now it is time to change gears slightly and start looking at the standards. The Standards Committee intended for the document you are navigating to be a resource to educators. Therefore, the team decided to add links to additional resources and reference materials. Tables and graphics have been updated and linked to resources to provide more guidance. This is one of the reasons why we are encouraging educators to access this document electronically in lieu of printing it. There are many great things about how the standards are supported. Here are just 2. Hyperlinks are in blue and underlined for quick access to additional support, and red words are rollover words. Hovering over the word provides a definition of the term identified. At this time, move on to page 16. Another piece of good news is the way the standards are grouped remained the same from the initial adoption in 2010. Domains are broad mathematical ideas. Clusters are groups of related standards. At the beginning of each cluster, the bold label is referred to as the cluster heading. Then, of course, the grade level standards are listed under the cluster headings. We are now going to have you go to your grade level content standard overview page. You can access your standards 2 different ways. You can either go back to the table of contents and choose the blue hyperlink, or stay where you are in this electronic document and scroll to the page number that is listed on the screen. At this time, pause the presentation for a minute and make sure that everyone has found the Content Standard Overview page for the grade level they teach or support. Immediately under the title at the top of the page is a blue hyperlink that reads Critical Areas for Coherence. Please select this hyperlink. It will first prompt you with a Microsoft text box asking you if you would like to open this file. Click OK. You will then be connected with a Coherence overview page. Choose your grade level. For the sake of time, please only read the bolded, numbered subtitles. These are the mathematical topics that most of your instructional time should be spent on in your core math block. There is no need to pause at this point since most of us are only reading 2 to 4 statements. Once you are done reading the subtitles, use the back arrow or close this page and go back to the standards document. Let's pick up where we left off on your overview page. Notice the abbreviated version of the SMPs in the blue text box. All grade levels have blue hyperlinks that will take you directly to a specific standard. At this time, do not advance your page. Leave it on your overview page and direct your attention to the presentation screen. Because we are in a transition year, each standard has been marked with 2 abbreviations. At the end of the standard, you will see what the abbreviation was for this standard when KCCRS was adopted in 2010. At the beginning of the standard, you will see what the current abbreviation is for the standard. In most cases, these 2 abbreviations will be exactly the same, as it is in this counting and cardinality example on the screen, because most of the standards remain the same or minor adjustments were made. However, some standards have changed, as in this 3rd grade measurement and data example. Look back at your screen now. Choose one of your blue abbreviated standards. Take 3 minutes and practice hovering over red words to see the definitions and choosing hyperlinks. Please pause now.
At this time, we are going to have you take a break from your computer and look at the presentation screen. Our next useful resource we are going to examine is the 2010 versus 2017 comparison document. Today you have been provided a hard copy of this resource so we can process the changes. In the future, you can use your hard copies from today or download the same document by either choosing the Word document or the PDF. Another nice feature of accessing this document online is that you could read the changes below or above your grade level. Please continue to give us your undivided attention and focus on the presentation screen. We are going to walk you through several examples. We will give you time to process your own grade level changes after these examples. We will be comparing the 2010 standard to the 2017 standard and noting any changes that may have taken place. In this 1st grade example, no changes were made. In these 2 examples, kindergarten and 2nd grade, additions were made. Additional words were added to the counting and cardinality standard at kindergarten, while the unequal or not equal sign was added to the 2nd grade numbers and base 10 standard. For clarity purposes, some words were replaced in the standard. Notice in this 5th grade measurement and data example, the word threefold was replaced with three-dimensional. This next example is a 3rd grade OA standard. In this case, it was determined the best way to communicate this standard was to reword the entire thing. After much discussion and research, the committee decided that some standards should be moved to another grade level. At 4th grade, the angle standards have been moved to middle school. Adding new standards was not a common practice during this review process, but there are a few grade levels that will see some additions. Showing flexibility in composing and decomposing hundreds, tens, and ones is a new standard at 2nd grade. In a minute, we would like for you to get a green and yellow highlighter or colored pencils. As mentioned earlier, you have a hard copy that compares the 2010 standards to the 2017 standards in front of you. You will now use this document to analyze changes that have been made specifically to the grade you teach. Here are the steps you'll follow in this process. First, silently read your grade level pages. Then highlight text in 2 of the boxes on the page, the Changes box and the 2017 box. You do not need to mark the text in the 2010 box. Which highlighter you choose will be your decision for each standard. Think green traffic light or good to go when using the green highlighter. These are minor changes that are simple to explain or will have very little impact on changing your lesson planning process or lesson delivery. Think yellow traffic light, pause or slow down when using the yellow highlighter. These changes are major ones, like new standards in your grade level, or the standard has added information like the unequal sign. Yellow highlighted standards will likely need further exploration or conversation at a later time. Remember, these are the standards that will likely change aspects of lesson planning and delivery of instruction. Standards that have not been changed do not need to be highlighted. Let's take the next 12 to 15 minutes to read and highlight. We may not get through all of the standards, and that is okay. We want to reserve some time for you to process what you have highlighted as a grade level team. During your team processing, you may find that some of you have highlighted something yellow, while others have highlighted it green. That is okay. There is not a right or wrong way of processing this new information. Pause at this time, and we'll come back together in 12 to 15 minutes.
Let's get back on our laptops and discover some of the other helpful resources that KSDE offers. Earlier, we asked you to minimize KSDE. Go ahead and bring it back up. Go back to the blue bar and choose Kansas Math Standards. Select Student Glossary. Choose either K through 12 or K through 5. If you are a veteran teacher in our district, these vocabulary terms should look familiar. Feel free to pause briefly to save these on your laptop. Another really important planning document is the grade level focus document. Open that document link now. Look at the screen for a visual. You'll see a long list on the left-hand side. The worksheets are a tool to help with planning. For the sake of time, we'll skip that resource. Please open the document that says Kansas Grade Level Focus for your grade. As a team, discuss the importance of both parts of this document, the green, blue, and orange cluster information, and the required fluencies at the bottom. Please pause now and allow for 2 minutes for discussion. We would like to show you one last resource that is not only beneficial to you, but also to the families you serve. In the math portion of KSDE, this time choose Resources. At the bottom of the drop-down menu, choose Parent Information. Select the one that aligns with your grade level. This is a handy document to help you plan, but also to share with parents at a math night or conferences. The second page offers families simple activities to do with their children. Spanish versions of these family pages will be coming soon.
At this time, we would like for you to refrain from using your laptop and focus your attention on the presentation screen. Today, Connie and I shared with you some important resources you will want to revisit in the future. We only scratched the surface of what is available on KSDE. There are many, many more resources on this website to support you. We recognize you may not have been able to save a copy of all the documents we went over today due to time. Please do take some time in the days to come to download and save what you feel will benefit your planning process. Many of these documents will also be loaded onto OnBase in the fall. As you explore other resources on KSDE in the future, please make sure you are accessing a current document. Some of the helpful things on KSDE are still aligned to the 2010 standards and have not yet been updated to the 2017 standards. Just keep that in mind as you explore KSDE in the future.
Finally, a group of bright, dedicated teachers and coaches updated the 2018-19 math instructional sequences. They dedicated many, many hours to making sure the 2017 standards were honored in the sequences. This team of leaders adapted, omitted, or even added lessons to make sure the correct standards were being addressed. For the 2018 school year, the focus document, addition and multiplication situation documents, and computation fluency suggestions were added to the instructional sequences. Make sure to look for those improvements. If there is time remaining, take a moment and determine your next steps either as a building or as a team. If you have run out of time, consider choosing a date in the near future to come together to determine your next steps. Jamie and I thank you for creating classroom environments that promote meaningful math discourse for all of our students. On behalf of our kids, we thank you.